you had seen Cheryl Shearson and Dirk Gordon entering Mimi's building that evening, being announced and being ushered to the north elevator, you might have imagined them stepping out of a Ralph Lauren ad, but with a difference. Their faces were less jaded, fresher, younger. The reason I happened to be sitting on a park bench across the street, working the Post crossword, was that I was early for Mimi's dinner. Traffic up from the village had been lighter than I'd anticipated. At the time, I didn't know Mimi as well as I later got to know her. Hadn't fallen in love with her, as, in an odd way, I later did. But I did know her reputation as a fastidious hostess, a perfectionist in every detail of entertaining, and I knew that at the last minute before any party, there were always small, last-minute details to attend to. An anthurium with a Browning pistol to be plucked out of a centerpiece, for instance. I also happened to know that it wouldn't matter if Dirk Gordon and Cheryl Shearson were a full 10 minutes early, for they were, essentially, no more than a part of Mimi's decor, not much more important than one of her flower arrangements. But that's not quite fair. From a business standpoint, they were important to her, though their importance was not of the sort that they appeared to attach to themselves. Watching their entrance into the building, one might have supposed that these two were principals in some sort of currently unfolding national or even international drama. For one thing, there was a certain studied exquisiteness about this pair, an insouciance, he in that impeccably fitted dinner jacket, she in a lipstick-red scassy, which, knowing who she was and where she came from, I suspected had been borrowed from a more affluent roommate. Then there was that moment when, after alighting from the taxi, they both paused almost haughtily beneath the building's marquee, looking first up the avenue, then down, as though they expected flash bulbs to start popping and videotapes to start rolling and were giving the cameramen time to adjust their shutters and set their lights. "Where is women's wear?" they seemed to be demanding. "Where are the people from NBC's Nightly News?" Of course, there were no cameras, and yet, in just a few weeks' time, or at least this was Mimi's plan, these two were to become the focus of just that sort of national attention. Fame and recognition were part of Mimi's plan for them, and I knew that Mimi Myerson was a woman who always had a plan. The plan was to make Cheryl Shearson's face as famous as Brooke Shields, and Dirk Gordon's as recognizable as Robert Redford's as, in the next few weeks, they began seductively addressing Americans from their television screens and the glossy pages of the fashion magazines as the Mireille woman and the Mireille man. If the campaign was successful, before it was over, each would have earned something in the neighborhood of $2 million. And then what? Though these beautiful two did not know it yet, once this costly advertising campaign had run its course, both might find themselves virtually unemployable. It is one of the glum ironies of this business, for this is a business in which intense celebrity can be followed by an even more intense oblivion. It is called overexposure. A few years from now, I thought, unless they were very careful, she might be going back to modeling shoes on 7th Avenue, and he might become a dance instructor at Arthur Murray's. But who knew at that point? Tonight they were nobodies, about to be, however briefly, somebodies. She, a raven-haired girl of 19 who, with her eye makeup and in her scassy, managed to look 2 or 3 years older, and he, a young man of 25 who, for career purposes, said he was 22, with hair the color of canary feathers. "I want a blonde male and a brunette female," Mimi had said. These were they. It didn't matter that they loathed each other. And their importance to the story is that Mimi's dinner party was where it all began, and these two were the first to arrive. As they ascended in the elevator, I imagined her saying, not to him, but to her reflection in the mirror, "So, if you've met her, what's she like?" And his superior reply, "You'll see, love," and her turning now to Buddy to demand imperiously, "So you work here, so what's this broad like?" And Buddy, not approving of this sort of talk in his car, saying politely but reproachfully, "You'll find that Mrs. Moore is a very great lady, ma'am." Now they're at the 14th floor, and Buddy's white-gloved hand slides the door open for them, and they step out, and the door glides closed behind them. "Never talk about your hostess in front of her elevator man," the young man says. "Bad form, love. Rule number 2. It'll get back to her."